7, 1, and 2. Here we go. There's a ton of stuff in this reading. So quiz tomorrow, I'll preview and tell you exactly what's going on here with it. But 6 points today anyway. 1 is nomenclature. That was the least obvious word in terms of bolding and things like that. But it's always a good idea in a new chapter to just check the title where it says Chapter 7, Chemical Nomenclature. And then they quoted Ben Franklin in a weird moment and dropped you the word nomenclature. And then they didn't really use that word, but that is the word of the chapter is nomenclature. What does nomenclature mean? Naming stuff. So that this chapter, we're naming stuff. They're either going to give you a formula and want a name, or they're going to give you a name and want a formula. But it's all about naming games. 2 is a word from Wayback Machine, way back to chapter 1. Word of that day was inorganic. 3 is a word from the test we just took. 2 elements is called binary. And those 2 were highlighted in bold and in the margin and easier to spot. 4 was in the margin and easy to spot. And from last chapter, we learned ternary. So not a lot of new news on that other than nomenclature so far. 5 was a little bit hidden in the reading in the sense it was, I think, italicized, but not like super bolded. But we did get done just doing this too. Word of that blank is positive. The positive one generally goes first. And then 6 we know from last chapter, and that was not super in the reading, but I didn't finish my examples because the names finish with I. That's not really new. That's been around as well, but there's our quiz answers 1 to 6. Did you have a question early when I just kept talking?
Yeah. How do you spell number 1's answer?
Nomenclature. But spelling doesn't make it wrong as long as it looks like nomenclature. Question about scoring that thing out of 6?
Okay, I got it.
66% you gave me smiley.
Okay, so here's what the next quiz becomes, and I guess get ready to probably jot down some notes and whatnot on this. But number 1 stays the same, nomenclature. 2 is going to go backward, no big shocker. You can just say that it doesn't have carbon. 3 is going to go backward. 4 is going to go backward. 5 is going to probably stay the same, but possibly day by day I might say that the more blank goes second, in which case you'd say negative. That may vary. 6 stays the same. Then here comes a bunch of stuff that was in the reading but didn't make the quiz. So see if the group wisdom has these answers out there. What 2 kinds of names do compounds have? Systematic chemical names is 1. What was the other one? Common names is the other. Follow up third point on this. Which one is more common?
Common.
You would think so, but
That's
in a little
so
bit of chemistry irony, systematic chemical names are used more.
Who named this?
I
think
have a word with them.
I think the common, I don't know. I think historically maybe the common names were chosen first.
Isn't a common name like water?
Correct.
I'm not saying like H2O, but
No.
I guess people know that.
What was the systematic like?
So systematic chemical names is one thing. The other one was common names. And the ones that are more commonly used now in 2025 are the systematic chemical names.
Oh, is that because every language understands?
No, it's just that it makes a lot more sense. So let me explain how. Let's do 17 to 19 and then I'll tell you how. So 17 to 19 tomorrow, 3-point question. Somebody came up with these rules for names. Who was that?
IUPAC.
IUPAC. Someday for a bonus point, but not tomorrow. You could put down what that stands for. Anybody know? International Union of chemists. So, who is IUPAC? International Union of Pure and Applied Chemists. Chemistry, actually. When is a question?
1981.
1921. They could have been hanging out with Gatsby. Why did they do this?
Easy.
So everything doesn't have its own random name. For example, most of you, some of you might know that's called,
Is that CO2?
yeah, carbon dioxide. There's reasons why that's called carbon dioxide that we'll talk about today in about a minute.
Carbon.
This is called carbon monoxide for reasons that we'll talk about in a minute. This is called water. Why? No one knows. That's just what it's called.
Because.
So, IUPAC people are okay with this being water, I guess, but they don't really want to have to come up with a name for this like Goddard, and a name for this like Botter, and a name like some random, like let's make up a name, let's call it Ralph. Or what are these things going to be called? You don't want to come up with some meaningless name for all of these things. It's a little easier to understand why this is called carbon dioxide and this is called carbon monoxide because they're obeying these rules than to understand why is that called water. You don't like mind memorizing water, but you sure wouldn't want to do that with everything in chemistry.
No.
Like just memorize these weird names. So these IUPAC people in 1921 come in and say, look, we've got to come up with some rules for this because we can't be just naming everything these weird names like water. This doesn't work for us. So here's the rules. The basis of the system is some Greek prefixes. So tomorrow quiz for a 10-point shot will say, what are the Greek prefixes for the numbers 1 through 10? So you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, number. 1
Mono.
is mono. M-O-N-O. 2
Die.
is di, D-I. 3
Try.
is tri, T-R-I. 4
One.
is not, sorry. But it is a word we already know from chemistry. Sort of.
T's or something.
Last chapter we had this for a four-sided thing. Tetra. T-E-T-R-A, tetra is 4. 5 is probably what you'd expect. Penta, P-E-N-T-A, like a pentagon. 6 is hexa, H-E-X-A, like a hexagon. 7? You might think sept, and that's a really good prefix, but it isn't. It's going to be hepta. The 7 can go a couple ways. 6 can also go, not in chemistry, but in prefix world, hex and sex are both 6. Hept and sept are both 7. So there's little wiggle room on this. But 7 is hepta, H-E-P-T-A. 8 is what you'd expect, octa, O-C-T-A. 9 is the only one that there's 2 that are acceptable. It's N-O-N-A, and it's E-N-N-E-A. 10 is what you'd expect. Deca, D-E-C-A. So they pretty much end in A's. Once you cross the threshold of di, tri, everything's going to end in A, and spelling will matter. But I can run those back if you want, or they're in the margin on page 167 of your book if you want that. Need a run back, anybody? Okay. 2 more questions. There's an exception for one of the prefixes. So I'll ask you, what is the exception for one of the prefixes? Anybody know the exception?
Mono only goes in the second one.
Mono only ever goes on the second one. You never use mono on the first letter. Mono only for the second one. Then last question, what's one other exception? The other exception is if there's going to be two vowels in a row, the prefix will drop its vowel. So you're not going to have like, just trying to think of,
Mono.
yeah, you're not going to get mono oxide. You're going to get
monoxide.
monoxide because the prefix will drop the vowel. You wouldn't have penta oxide. You'd go pentoxide. Okay. So that's, I think, a wrap
And then-
on the quiz.
7 new points, you said?
7 new points. This isn't a point, but this is just a fact. These rules today that we're about to do on the board that we just talked about, this di, tri, tetra, penta, all this stuff, that's only when you have metal, non-metals with other non-metals. Where are the non-metals on the table?
Right.
They're on the right. So if you get non-metals with non-metals, that's what these rules are for. If you get a non-metal with a metal, you can already do that. We did that last chapter. Non-metals and metals, we did last chapter, and it's what you're going to read about tonight anyway, if you forgot last chapter already. How to do a non-metal with a metal is in both your past and your future. You know metals with metals?
What's they like not when we
Can't do it. Metals don't combine with other metals. We learned that way early in the year when we learned about ductile and malleable and those words. Metals don't like other metals. They don't go together. So you're not going to get like a gold silver-eyed. Like that's not a thing that works well. But when you go to reading tonight is 7 new points. It's talking about the things I just talked about. Today, homework is non-metals with non-metals. The tonight reading is telling you what happens if metals get involved. They're going to run you through things with like charges. You're fully aware that most metals have one charge, but some of the metals have 2 possible charges. Like, for example, iron, there's a couple irons, those ones that you hate on a little bit. But that you're reading about tonight, mostly things you know, but what you don't maybe know is the terminology that they're using. So there's like a little bit of new terminology for things that you've already seen, but it's talking about metals, charges, that kind of business. So quiz again one more time, run back. It's up to 31, 7 new points from the read. Top 6 more or less stayed the same or went in reverse. There was a 3-point question about the 2 name systems, a 3-point question about the IUPAC people, a 10-point prefix question, and then 2 exceptions that we're talking about. Question about quiz breakdown. The homework breakdown, there is a 1 ABC, there's a 2A, there's a 3A, and there's numbers 6 and 7. 6, 7. There it is tonight, everybody. Here we go. People watching this in the future won't even understand what the phenomenon, the popularity.
Stop.
There were schools recently had 6, 7 days. Did anybody see this?
No.
Because you know how when you were in elementary school, they probably hyped up the 100th day of school.
Yeah.
Like 100th day of school was a thing. They had 67th day of school parties like all over America. They were wearing like 6, 7 shirts. They were doing all these worksheets where every problem in math had a 6 or a 7 in it. People went crazy with it. There was an article in the paper just the other day. The one teacher at one school, he's 6'7". So he is right now. He is like the king of the elementary school at 6'7" or middle school or wherever he was. Being 6'7", he is like the man.
So you just come in.
Bro,
There we are.
so dumb.
But here's like, this is like what you're doing. So this, you just say its name, sulfur. Why am I not saying monosulfur?
Because it's the first.
Because it's the first one. We don't do mono on the first one. Then you have to know what the 6 prefix was. That was hexa. The F stands for
Fluorine.
fluorine, but we change it to
Fluoride.
I. That's what IUPAC says. So instead of that being called Water Junior or whatever, there's a reason why it's called that. So this one. First thing, die. First thing we write is die, because the 2 means die, so start with those prefixes.
Nitride.
No, nope,
Dinitrogen.
nitrogen. The first one you leave alone. You only go "ide" on the one that's second, because that's the one that's charged with
Ion.
negative charge. So negative charge for the second one. Trioxide. And we're not going to drop this vowel because it's a consonant sound, like tri. We're not worried about it. So the di-tri, you don't drop that vowel. But that is trioxide. Question about working in that direction. And then chemistry sometimes, like math always, if you can do it forward,
You can do it backward.
you can do it backward. So it's easier to go backward, I think. Carbon,
C.
C, disulfide,
S2.
S2. Tetra, phosphorus, P,
4.
4. Dec, oxide,
O10.
O, 10. Memorize the prefixes, it's easy money. Thank you, IUPAC, it's a pretty good deal. Question about any of that business? Shutting it down.